Hi everybody, I am Matteo Migliorini, and in this tutorial I want to show you a little tips and trick for create a good fire in FumeFx. Really, it's not very tutorial, it's about a little making off, and where I show you some tips and trick and about my last, not very last, but very old, because I working on it in May. And my R&D on the Secret of Fire, you can see on YouTube or Vimeo, or in my show reel. The idea is it's started when I see a movie of Source of Paradise, where is the Shen is with the fire is growing in the cycle, and I see also the same effect, for example, in Vampire Diaries. And because my wife wants to see Vampire Diaries is a series, and maybe if you are a wife, you can understand me, because sometimes a man is yes, I want to see movie with you and blah 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 blah. When I started, I choose 3DSMax because it's a very I think it's an elastic system of particles, and is very top for me for working with FumeFx. But the same effect you can create also with Maya, for example, and FumeFx, or with Phoenix, or with another software you want. The system, it's very basic, but I want to talk about one moment on the sheen. The sheen is created by the plane. With the plane is deformed with a simple modifier, okay, with displays, volume selection, displays, edit poly, UV map, and blah blah blah. Because I have also here a little sphere. Now it's object properties, is display by box, okay. This sphere is growing in the time, and one is growing is create a little crash with the terrain, and is deforming also the terrain. For this is application also the volume selection. Maybe you can see that in video, because it's all black, all very dark, and maybe is a very little particular. You can don't give more attention about this effect. So anyway, more important is the light in the sheen, because it's I create more light in on this path. This path is the path of animation for my flame. My flame start here and finish here, and the start is running on this path with the constraint, the path constraint, and also I have the deflector. Then I speak about it, and light. It's different, and is animation, because animated on a timeline, because when it's growing the fire, the light make some difference illumination in the sheen, because the flame is not the static, is not the point of light, and you can pat on and stop. You can change the light in the time. This is because create more variation. More computer graphic artists don't give you more attention at this particular, because maybe is concentrate more attention, more force on the fire system, but don't create a very good fire, a very good effect, but don't create the complete effect with, for example, light on the ground, or on the when explosion, light don't create effect on the around environment. And then I have here my ring. My ring is the geometry with the slice. I have animated the slice. It's now it's the editable spline, because I created the spline. I create with I enable in the rendering and also in the viewport for see about my effect, and then I animated it. It's animated and have the material with here the self-illumination. I use more skyline render because I think it's very fast, and for my test is it's good because I can control more the light, more value, and I think it's very elastic for my typical workflow. But you can use also V-Ray or Menta Ray if you want. It's the same, it's not a problem, because if you know more one of the different engine, you can use your engine. So I create this material. This material is a lava material, a lava shader. It's old material I adapted for my geometry. And after I check also the render pass, I create the alpha, the self-illumination, lighting, matte, and diffuse. This is my pass. In another file, I create the ambient occlusion only for the cycle and for the ground, and I render it with Menta Ray. Now I want to show you about the particle flow. Particle flow is a very basic system with the one event where I have the birth, the position object. The position object is my emitter. The emitter is my cycle. And you can see my particles on it. Cycle. Okay. For create particles on it. And I create the collision. The collision test is association by the deflector, because when you pass my deflector on my particles, is generate another particles in another event with the split amount and the spawn. Spawn rate it's more high, and the split amount it's a bit and then the split amount go in the spawn rate and go in my last event, and here the same. This event I have the force. I don't have the speed operator because it's not necessary for create the speed, because I use the force. You can use the force here, for example, the wind and the drag and another wind here for attractor and for create the velocity of your particle. It's a very basic system. If you want, you can see here, and this system is create the flame, the first flame. I divide my scene in FumeFx in three big element, one for frame, one moment, okay, here, one for flame, one for my object. This object is become the emitter object for some flame on the ground, and another element I create the simple emitter for FumeFx. I animated the value and I link it on my deflector. This deflector have the constraint, the path constraint, so I have the flame is growing is when he run on the path. But more important, here I have the light. Now is not enabled. Okay, this light have also the ray trace shadow and is animated with different value for create the different effect of lighting in my scene with the flame. So when I finish with my system, I start to create this different FumeFx contain with the same grid, with the same value for some more aspect, and I start with working on it. I start now with a new scene because I want to show you for create a good file. For example, I create a spline. FumeFx. simple source. Okay, I attach this on this with the path constraint. So animation, constraint, path constraint, and then I, for example, animation hit. Okay, the spacing, it's the resolution of voxel inside your FumeFx. For example, I can bring down, for example, 2. So I have a good value, but for now, okay, this value, it's the size of my grid, for now it's okay. Because if I press play, usually you have this effect. Okay, I don't want the smoke in this case, so I disabilitate. Okay, smoke temporary velocity now, for now it's and I can work. If I press play, another play, okay, I see my flame is running on my I want to give more force. I want to give the some on off on my emitter, so I can go on my emitter, press animation hand, for example, here I can put the value of my fuel you can see it's on off. Okay, this is very important. Maybe you can give more detail on your animation if you want to have more details, and you can work also on the curve editor for adjustment of your emission. So now I can work also on fuel. On fuel, I think it's okay. You can work with expansion, and more important is expansion, because if you want to give some flame is go out, you can, or is going out, you can, for example, here is 10, okay, emission. You can check your value of your meter. For example, here you can 0.5, for example, and here it's 1.8. etc. For example, you can clone this value. Sorry, only for this example. Okay. For cloning, you can select, press Shift from your keyboard and copy. Okay. Press play, you can see your emission. Maybe it's not more. Five, okay, or see more. Okay. Okay, here is very big flame, and here it's reduced. Okay. Okay, maybe you can just material animation. Okay, but this is not the point of animation. Now you can work on your value. You can give more, for example, the gravity, work on vortices, on the damping, on turbulence for give more various effect, but is not the point. The point is more important is the value of your simulation, value of your voxel. The value of your voxel for give more details. You can use the wave turbulence, and also you can change your spacing. You can put, for example, 1 or 2. In this case 2. It's okay. Another types is don't have the preview is open, because it's working very fast. If you close, now is not this example, but if you don't see the preview, you can work very fast in simulation. Some simulation you can take more time, for example 1 day or some hours, or it's depend about your simulation and what do you want to create. Let's see now my simulation. Okay, you can go your quality. If you want, you can zoom in. Okay, the quality is not very big, is not very details on your frame. This is because I needed to add the velvet, the power of the velvet. You can check also this value. Okay, and now I can resimulate, because I don't add this in the first time, so I need to add now for create the details. Now I can close, and you can see it's very fast. Now you can go on the simulation to the WTP tab. It's the velvet, and I don't have the smoke, so I don't choose this channel. I can disable this channel, and I can up the value. This value, the string, is the multiplication of your grid. What I mean, if you have these sides, you can time about this value. So if I put, for example, 3, it's the free time of it. 3, it's I think it's a very good value, because when you can go to velvet, I press velvet, you can see the time is changed more for create this simulation. But when you finish, you can see more details on your simulation. Obviously, I don't have any kind of the turbulence. Maybe I can add the I don't know the scale of this. Okay. For example, 5, entities 10, sites 10, for example. Okay. Come back on default. So I have some kind of. Okay, another aspect is more important. It's the simulation time here. It's 100. Okay, but 60. And here 60. So don't finish my simulation. Okay. And now I go to Velvet and press for Velvet. Obviously you don't see the Velvet here because I don't have the Velvet active. For active Velvet cache you can create the cache. So when you finish to create the cache from your file here, I can see here my cache. Okay, create my cache for Velvet. When you finish this cache, you can load inside your FumeFx. Okay, finish. Now I can choose Velvet and I see my Velvet. It's very different. Okay, it's very different from default. You can see Velvet, and also you can see in your folder the Velvet cache properties. It's not more because it's very small simulation, but if you have comparison, it's very high. This, but strange. But sometimes it's more high. But anyway, another aspect is in illumination. You can add the light for create the cast, shadow for create the scattering, but more important is the rendering. It's use the good value for rendering. For rendering, for example, you can work on opacity, and here the edge, and here the center of your flame. You can change your flame, for example, with smooth. If you want, you can add some points, and you can see the center. Okay. Another aspect is the value, the intensity of value, 0.3. You can change from gradient, from set gradient. Okay, and change, give it some value. You can also save this gradient or load your gradient. You can have more gradient in your scene, in your file. Maybe when you create one kind of fire, you can reload in the time, and you can use this for the base for another fire. For example, I can load. I have a different kind of fire. For example, I can choose this. Okay, it's not change more, but it's okay. The opacity is 0.6, for example. Now you can say it's a more difference effect of a flame. And if you render, okay, you see it. If you want, you can render also with V-Ray. It's or MetaRay. V-Ray it's very is compatible, so you can use V-Ray for have more different kind of effect. But more important, I think it's the post-production, because with post-production you can work more on your on the look of your file and change more. For example, I can jump inside Nuke. Usually I use Nuke or After Effects or Fusion. It's more. It's dependent of your workflow. I know more agency and more agencies to work with a different kind of the software. So anyway, we can jump in with this kind of view because it's my favorite. I have here my location render of my circle of fire, okay, and this is a AXR file. I extrapolate some more information like diffuse, lighting, and self-illumination, and I'm working on it. For example, I'm working a few about for give more blur on my my location. And then also on my lighting, I apply also the glow for have this effect of lighting on environment, and apply the blur. Now here I have the blur on the self-illumination. I have the glow and the blur. Then I add all in one with the, first of all I use the diffuse with lighting and merge it. Then I use this merge, the light diffuse plus lighting with the self-illumination. Then I have my ambient occlusion, okay, and I merge it on my fire. Here I have my fire, my first element of my simulation. I divide my simulation in 3 passes. Now we can see what I mean. And I apply the color correction with grade, and then I merge with my ambient occlusion, and then I merge it on my lighting, okay, and I have this effect. Then I have also the Z-dip for have the I use the mask, my Z-dip for create. Usually we can create this path for the DOF effect, but now I use it for create a few fog, for example, and here it's not working. Okay, maybe it's not working correctly, but with the constant I merge it. And here I have my 3 passes. I have my circle by geometry. It's the same concept of my simulation. You can add, for example, the value of your geometry. You can connect to FumeFx and create this effect. Is created by working on the expansion of my FumeFx value in the flame, and here my flame by the particle flow with the size of it. My particles, it's very small. It's started big and finishes very small. And here my flame using by the simpler emitter of FumeFx. And also you can see here I have a tube because it start here and starting again and finish here. It's this flame is different, have the same color, the same gradient, but the opacity is different. Okay. Oops. Then I create the color correction. The color correction it's the same for all my flame. Okay. You can see I have a little color correction and color correction. And then I have the sharpen, I have the glow. You can see maybe on it, it's very nice. Okay. I have the sharpen. It's very the sharpening is different for all, is not the same for the same simulation. You can choose if you can give more details on the edge. Then I have the glow. It's very few glow here. And then the vector blur for the motion blur. Then I merge this, the ground from the object, and this from the particle flow in only one. Make this effect. Okay. I plus it, and then I merge my emitter, simple emitter from FumeFx, where is applied the color correction, sharpen, the glow, the vector, and also I merge it only in one. Then I apply the final color correction, because I want to change a few color. If you can see, it's more yellow, and here maybe we can put full sides. Here more yellow, and here it's near to orange with the very bright light point here. And this effect is the effect of my light is animated by the time. I think it's very nice. It's not the perfect color and perfect setting for your fire. More is depend about what you want or what do you need. Usually I have, for example, the creative artist or art director or the supervisor, and he say, I want this in this color because I think it's good for this kind of situation, and so you work on it. And maybe it's not very difficult to create the fire, create for example the system for create the flame. It's very big work. For example, for create the system of fire, I made it in 2 hours, maybe 2-3 hours with my break, and I think it's not. This is good. It's not very big time. You can work on it in 1 hour. So if you know the way for create, you can go strange and you create without problem. But I spent more time in post-production and for the color, for understand what the mood I want to give to my fire. You can see here, okay? And finally I merge it on my scene with location and apply time remap, because I want to give the slow motion effect for this part, for example. But here is very beautiful kind of I think of flame is going in slow motion effect, and then apply, for example, okay, with time remap. And then I apply the grain for simulation the effect of the camera. Usually you can work very fast in your scene, in your simulation. You can create very fast simulation, and then if you want you can work with the timer mapping for create some effect, for example for stretching, but don't stretch more and don't give more velocity. Usually we can adjust a few, not more. And this is all, and thank you for watching. Bye.